Hi Conway, so I'm looking at your animation here. I think it's getting nice. It's getting better, of course. Now I'm a bit confused at times. Still, sorry about that. It's just it may be me. Let me just check what. So I'm confused about this thing. So this pose in here and this pose in here, I have one leg, two legs, and three legs. So in one pose, you're moving three legs at the same time. And this is a quadruped. So does it mean that the weight stands only on this leg? I mean, what's going on there? Because I'm not really sure what's the thing in here. So you have these two legs moving, and this one is rolling. I think you have to keep this one steady at least so that you can move the two legs, these two opposing legs. Otherwise, it becomes a bit complicated. I don't know physically how you're going to handle that. And it's also a bit strange to me that you can have a contact here and this guy goes up already. How can you do that? I think then at this stage, I mean, you can do it if you put a breakdown in there in which perhaps this guy goes down before this guy lifts. In which case I can buy into it. Okay, right now this one in here I'm not quite sure. I think you need a breakdown there to sell that transition. And the step forward is a lot cooler than earlier on. Again, you have the tendency to make these poses where both legs change position in a pose. How can you do that? Because if the weight now is moving forward, you cannot have a pose in which both legs are moving at the same time, right? So I think in here now you're at a stage in which you are unlocking better physics. Okay, and now I think what you have to do is you have to go there with breakdowns and decide which legs lifts first, which lifts later, which one touches the ground first, which one touches the ground later. Because right now you have poses in which you see both legs move, but it's not supposed to be a jump or anything, so it's a bit strange to see both legs moving when the weight is moving forward there, if you see what I mean there. So I think there, I think now you are in this stage when you need breakdowns, okay? And I think this walk forward is actually potentially quite cool. It's a bit awkward, as I said, the fact that you move two legs where your weight should be on those legs, so it's a bit strange. And I think we are missing almost entirely the anticipation of the closing in before they leap out, so to speak, because since you're closing them very progressively as you walk, there is never a point where we feel like it's anticipating. So in my opinion, you should probably, a possible solution is to keep them more open as you walk forward, so that as you recoil back at this stage, you will close them, right, like you're doing right now. So the guy would walk with the clothes a bit more open, and then as it recoils, you just close the clothes, so to speak. So we will actually read that anticipation. And then in here, I don't know what's going on here, because your character is leaving the frame, and the shape has left the frame here. This cube has left the frame long before, actually 1, 2, 3, 4 frames before the monster actually opens the clothes. So it's a bit strange. I think you should open the clothes a lot earlier then, because otherwise I'm not sure why I see the box moving away. And again, it's a bit strange for me to see you pushing this way with the bum up, and then the bum and the body, look at the angle. You're just translating one-to-one the whole creature up there, and then they fall down exactly the same time. I think I remember my previous feedback was to push with the body down, so that it would then, the back of the body this way, so that it would then move up as you open the claw. I think that was my feedback. Obviously you can decide to do any way you like it, but it's going to make the animation, it's a bit difficult to give feedback, and then we see that there are major changes of the direction of the motion that we discussed earlier on, and now we have to deal with this. So every time, so now you're asking me to give you feedback on this. The problem being that either I change my feedback and I tell you, okay, let's go bum first, then means you will have to change this forward part probably, or I tell you do as I said earlier on. And I don't want to do either. I don't want to tell you go bump first, because my previous feedback was different, and so I would like to see that feedback addressed in that case. So if you want feedback, then if you don't want to follow it, you should probably explain it first so that I know what to expect. So I don't want to, it's already difficult to keep feedback consistent, okay? Because of course I forget things. I see many animations day after day, so I may forget what my opinion was in a given piece. But if we keep changing the opinion here, then you will receive conflicting feedback, which is going to be very difficult for you, because eventually you're receiving conflicting direction from me, and you're going to think of me that I have no clear direction, and I'm giving you whatever my mood of the moment dictates, which I don't want that to be the case, because it will lead to you being frustrated and to me being frustrated. So I think in here my feedback was to keep the bum down and move the chest the chest up. So the bum would push forward, the chest would go up, so that in this pose you would have the chest down. I'm going to delete this frame. So that in this pose you would have the chest up and the bum still down, giving you this line of action. I remember I was talking about line of action when I did that, okay? So this would be more or less the line of action you have in there. And now it feels like you're simply translating the whole body up. You see 1-to-1, which is a bit strange. The monster going off camera is not much of a big deal, probably. But if I go and check this point of view here, what I notice is that you're pushing, if I track this point of the head, it seems to me that you're pushing in this direction, and then you're moving again straight. So it seems like the movement is in this direction. Again, in my previous feedback I said try to get this motion consistent. So if you're pushing and you don't have wings, you tend to push in the same direction. It's very hard for you to change midway the flight. That's really hard. You have to try it. Go around, take a run and jump and see if you can change direction midway in the air. I don't think you can, but I stand to be corrected. I think there are tricks you can do in parkour to do that somehow, to change the direction a tiny bit. So it's a bit strange in general to see that happening. And similarly, there are other places where the direction changes in a strange way. So in here, the body is moving to this direction, then it counts this way, which is okay because the weight is going there, but then it moves this way. So you have this as direction, which is a bit strange. I think maybe on this pose, I mean, this is also the place where you have both legs moving, so of course there's a problem there. Maybe on this pose on frame 80 of this timeline, you could have the body a bit more to the left, to the right of from the top view, so that in the next pose you will still be moving to the left a bit more. Right now you're just moving left and then down, if you see what I mean. So then what else? And then I'm a bit surprised that mid-air after 116 you move this way with the body. So you're effectively flying this way, which I find really hard to believe from a physics point of view. So I think in here, I think you need to decide what's your direction here, because it seems to me that you're not quite following the previous feedback, which is fine, but at the same time you're not telling me you're not. So I'm not sure anymore if am I misleading you, because maybe my feedback is misleading you at this stage. So I think you want to consider what is it that you're trying to do in here, because it may be that I'm all over the place and my previous feedback was all over the place. I don't know. I kind of remember that I said let's keep a single direction there, but you have to decide what you want to do because it's your animation. Okay, I'm just telling you that if you ask for feedback and then change the direction, you don't follow feedback anymore, then you need to inform the person giving you feedback so that they know what your intention is. Otherwise we are going around in circles, whereas I ask you to try something but you try something else, then I ask you to try something else based on your something else, and then you do something else again. If it's a case of I tried to follow the feedback but I didn't manage to, then perhaps it's a moment for us to have a direct meeting and see what the problem is there, okay? Because perhaps you are just struggling to follow that directions, and I don't know, you know. So in this case, it's a communication issue, it's not probably an animation issue. So, and this is also true in animation, in production. If you find yourself trying to follow feedback but you struggle a bit, it's a good idea to talk to whoever is giving you feedback there, because perhaps you didn't get the feedback right, perhaps the guy is a bit confused about what you want to do, maybe the guy is all over the place, it's a busy day and he gave you directions but he didn't really understand what you wanted to do. In either case, you need to talk, okay? So it's always a better, when the situation gets so confused, you probably need to talk. So apart from that, I think again it's getting more and more clear by the minute. It's just that you need to focus a bit more probably on what is the direction that you want to take in there. The biggest issue altogether is these double steps where a lot of legs are moving at the same time, but we don't quite understand how could that be possible physics wise. The other biggest issue is that we miss now the anticipation on the close, and we're opening the close way too late. I mean, in here you're even opening the close and your body is almost not moving forward. If you think of it, it's moving forward a tiny bit. How could it be that on the way down from a jump you're slowing down that much? You have no wings, so without wings it's very difficult to do that. So I think there's a big question mark for you. What's going on there? And I don't know what's going on. You gotta tell me. If you have a direction that you want to follow and I'm not aware of, okay, but if it's just physics, I think this guy should move forward. Okay, here it looks a bit like the chest is super rotated in this direction towards the camera, the head is rotated in the other direction, so the chest is heading left, it seems, left camera left, the head is heading right, camera left, the body is leading right camera, right camera, yes, no, camera right, sorry, my English is also breaking down. So I'm not quite sure what's going on in there. And the other problem is that it feels like you're moving the whole body like an action figure. That is particularly true if you look at it from the side view. You see, well, look at my line of action. So this is the line of action that I intend to have, and you can clearly see from the line of action that the guy is pushing on his hind legs, and your line of action instead is just some sort of L shape translating up, which doesn't make much sense in the case of this creature. So I think there is some thing that you have to evaluate. What I found easier when I deal with this kind of animation is I also animate after the animation is over. So I got after the end of the shot, and I try to imagine more or less where the character should be, and I put a pose in there. And I ask Maya to give me an interpolation, and I will work based on that interpolation. That will help a lot. Because it's very hard, in my opinion, to guess exactly where the character will end at the end of the shot. I mean, I tried it several times, never quite succeeded, until I started to also animate the pose after the end of the shot, so that would give me a projected direction that I could start building upon, okay? I just found I wasn't smart enough to figure out exactly where the character is at the end of the shot, in a shot like this one. Apart from that, it's looking nice, it could be fun. It's just you have to think a bit more seriously about physics now, okay? It's a lot better than before, but there's a lot of motion that happens and we don't know quite why. So, and if you think that you're just changed the direction of my previous feedback because you wanted to do something else, just let me know and we can have a daily together and we can just talk it through. And this way we see if there's a problem of communication there. Otherwise, keep on working. Bye bye.